Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. Today, we were supposed to have Gil Garcetti join us today. He is one of the representatives of Wellspring Hope. Unfortunately, he could not make it today, and we hope that he's okay. But we do want to talk really quickly about what Wellspring Hope does. It's actually a wonderful organization that focuses on Africa and bringing clean, uncontaminated drinking water to women and girls. So some of the things you may not know about, particularly Nigeria, is women have to walk between 4 and 6 miles to get water. And often that water is contaminated, so they can't drink it without getting sick. And this organization will actually bring wells to these communities so they can have clean, safe drinking water. They do not have to travel so far to get it. And in addition to that, traveling 4 to 6 miles, these girls don't get to go to school. So I believe one of the statistics I had was about 80% of these women and girls cannot read or write. So it's not only just bringing water to a community, it's bringing education, which just brings in that social justice aspect, the equity aspect, and bringing everybody up to the same level so they can have a quality of life. But unfortunately, we don't have Gil today. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to bring it back home. We have our wonderful Joy Langford, who is with the Water Replenishment District. I'm always getting that wrong. And we're going to talk about water restrictions in the state of California because, folks, it's gotten pretty bad. So, Joy, please take it away.
Well, there's really nothing to take away except for the same thing we've been preaching, forever now, and especially more dire now. We have to conserve water. And it seems like people are using more water with the new restrictions. I don't know what it is about us that it's just overconsumption or what have you, that we feel we have a right to water, that every time we turn on a spigot, water is going to come out of it. But be clear, we are in some drought situations. There are different counties, especially up in Northern California, where they literally are like on their last drops of water. So what I don't understand is when people just use water too liberally, take very, very long showers, people who are concerned more about their garden or their yard.
Perfectly green grass.
Right. Then what is really going on in this world regarding water right now?
You brought up Northern California. Cambria, I read an article yesterday, is now out of water.
Like literally, like they need to put a sign on the city limit, Cambria, out of water. But I don't think people still grasp it. I think they really believe that water comes from a spigot, and that's not the way that it rolls. So I think where I work, as well as other water agencies, we're really trying to figure out right now how to get the messaging out there and how to make it clear to people that, water in your grass, when you wake up in the morning and walk your dog, you see lawns that have been completely watered. There's water running into the street from where either one of their water sprinkler heads is off or they just overwatered. What do we do to really get the message out here that it is a dire, dire situation?
It is. Joel's ready to say something. Sorry, Joel.
I think we're all tired, to be perfectly honest with you. I think everybody is dealing with too much. And I think this is not on the radar when people are dealing with high inflation. The gas prices are out of control. Cost of living has, inflation has skyrocketed. I think this is an issue that is not, how do I put this? This is not at the forefront for people to deal with. They're more concerned about how do I pay to get to work? And then what little bit of money is left in my paycheck, do I put food on my table and pay my bills? I think that's where the priorities are falling right now. So the water issue, as dire as it is going to be an uphill challenge to get people to be concerned about right now.
Yeah, you make a really good point. I have a friend who runs a nonprofit, and they have lots of employees. They go out and dispense to the homeless in the community. And she said right toward the end of this past month, like a week or so ago, she had a lot of people call in, not because of COVID, but because they said they needed to wait till their next pay period in order to get enough gas to get their kid where their kid needed to go, plus be able to get them to work. I mean, it's that desperate with other natural resources now. And, we haven't even seen, I was talking to my cousin yesterday, we haven't even seen like the crises that we're about to see with wheat. Ukraine is like the biggest wheat producer in the world. And unless you've been to Cuba or places like that, such as, I have been, where you see what how people actually live without wheat and flour. And you tell yourself, what a beautiful country, what beautiful people, but don't ever give me any bread that came from Cuba again, because it's the most unleavened, untasteful. It's not even bread. It does not even have the consistency of bread. And yet people there fight over it. I guess they don't have an embargo to get wheat from, anywhere. But, there are crises coming down the pipeline. Climate change is going to be a major, major part of it, because I think it's going to all circle back to that. And the fact that we don't produce enough wheat ourselves and other countries don't as well. I think it all comes back to, it's going to come down to how we treat our climate. The fact that we're having these gas prices right now, gas is a pretty natural resource. If people can't afford to go to work, and they already don't want to go to work because they've got COVID-itis, we've got issues. So, that the wells of hope that Gil Garcetti is working on, at least that's a glimmer of hope, especially in third world countries that are going to be even more hit and more traumatized by the events of the world, by climate change, additional things that are being put on them. So,
and the positive impact it provides the people in those countries. But I wanted to touch back when you talked a little bit about agriculture. We have a bad habit, especially in heavily drought areas, to plant things that suck up a lot of water. California is known for its almonds, its cashews, and that takes a ton of water to produce. Simultaneously, there are certain water bottling companies, who shall remain nameless, who are taking our water out of our aquifers. I believe their permits and their licensing expired years ago, and they're still doing it. So how do we fix that? Those are kind of big ticket items.
It's a good question, right? Because right now, all of the news feeds that I get, all of the, things that come up before me in the board are ways to get more water infrastructure, right? Do we get it from Sacramento? Do we try to pull it from Colorado? Can we get some of this infrastructure money to build these aquifers so that we can get more more water into these areas? Those are legitimate questions, but we also have to figure out what we are using the water for. How sustainable is it for us to do that? The amount of incentives that we give the farming community. And don't get me wrong, farming is kind of like a thankless job. It's expensive to do on a large scale. But like almond growers, they get a certain amount of subsidy. So we really just need to really sit down and really do a water budget, so to say, within the state's budget of where water is coming from, what we do with the water resources we have now, how do we make our water more sustainable, which is what Water Replenishment District does, cleaning brackish water, desalinating water,
reusing even gray
have?
water. Yeah, even recycling gray water. I mean, a lot of other countries that are desert communities, I like to use Israel as an example because they've kind of got it nailed. They don't waste a single drop of water. They don't let anything run back into the ocean. It's all repurposed, recycled. We dump a lot of ours. When we have a giant storm and you see that water going down the storm drains, that's not being captured. That's just going out. They get overfilled and then they overflow and they go into the ocean. And we need to stop doing that.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
And I just wanted to add real quick, and Joe, you're going to know way more about this than I will. a lot of the pressure seems to be put on the individual, like the homeowner, reduce your personal usage by 20%, reduce your watering by this, let your lawns go brown. I get it. But what about these large corporations that are either taking water out, the bottling companies, or using a ton of water for their manufacturing processes that perhaps if they recalibrated a few things, that would have a bigger impact than all of us shutting off our, cutting back on our water usage?
Well, the good news is that industry, or the bad news, however you look at it, if you are in industry, is water from industry is now heavily regulated, as well as what their processes are, what equipment they need, depending on if it's steel manufacturing or food production, what is being done with that gray water. So there is regulation out there. It's not just big companies, taking and using the water and not repurposing it or, cleaning it. All major cities basically also have a municipal water plan. So that's not, corporations really aren't like the main culprits. I mean, when it comes down to it, when they end up limiting us to a certain amount of water a day, whether there's a proposal right now, high water usage, people who use high water usage, they actually will cut the spigot off on them at some point.
So does that cut off all their water, like even their drinking water?
Yeah, or some people have a technology, I believe, that's already in place. Some of the water pumpers, other ones are trying to get them. And, where we always say, you're not in charge of me, or you're not in charge of my body, or you're not in charge of what I use. I think it's coming down to the point where they will be more in charge of how much water people get, per household. And I think it's going to come down pretty serious. It might have to be that serious at some point.
But everybody's going to have, okay, so sorry, I understand the concept behind that one, but I think you know exactly where I'm going with this. Every household is different. Everybody's going to have a different circumstances. That's not a plan that can work. I mean, unless you're literally going to go door to door and talk to every single person and be like, okay, and then make a plan that works for them. Like, I mean, the sprinklers and all this kind of stuff. Yes, I understand with that for universal things. But when you talk about somebody's personal water usage, see, you've got multiple kids and you need to do laundry. Are they going to be not able to do their laundry and have their kids be filthy? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. If you've got somebody who's sick and they don't have air conditioning, they need water to drink. Can you cut that off? Because
they've been sending out with the water bills, at least here in Los Angeles, the pumpers tell you what your annual usage was last year.
Yeah.
It's a tracking process. It's not like that's how they know how much to charge each house. Like your water bill might be, $120. Mine might be, $200. Wendy's might be $20. But they're going off of the usage that was, your past usage history. And I think at that point, it'll be really serious. They actually are seeing that people's bills are rising.
Yeah. All rates are going up.
Oh yeah, the rates are going up and the water usage is rising. And I think it's because, back to everything that's going on in the world, people want to tell you, you're not in control of me. I'm going to go ahead and today I feel like a 20-minute shower just because you're not in control. I'm going to.
We have more people also moving into the city. I mean, overall, we had more people moving into the county, but the water usage has kind of been static. So it hasn't exploded the way they thought it would. But what I'm also seeing that I have brought up many times is these green buildings, which, I love the green buildings. But if you're going to have the exterior of your building covered in living plants, that has to be watered. And some of them aren't exactly drought tolerant. They're going to be prettier, needing a lot of water, and it just kind of becomes counterproductive. That's just what I'm seeing in my area.
I kind of want to go back to what Joy was talking about there for a second, where I don't necessarily know if I'm sure that there is a section of society that's always going to be like, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I also think that there's going to be a section of society that's just going, I need to feel like I'm in control of something because everything is out of control.
That's Joel. I just feel like, especially with this water crisis and the fact that water usage is increasing,
Yeah.
people feel that they need to be in control of something in a time that is absolutely uncontrollable. And our natural resources, they can't control what goes on at the pump, which is absolutely ridiculous. Thank God I'm electric.
I
But
ordered an electric car, just so you know. I reserved one.
bravo,
About another year and a half, it's out. Yeah.
Which one?
Fisker Ocean.
You fancy?
No.
Hey, they have. Okay, sorry, we're going to segue now because I'm super excited for this thing. Anybody who's interested in this car, go look at it. They're going to start production, I believe, this year. They start hitting people's garages in the next year or two. They're going to have a flexi lease program where it is $375 a month to start indefinitely. And it's like 10,000 miles a month.
What? And what's the range on a charge, on a single charge?
It depends upon the one you get, but it's going to start at around 250 up to like 340 for the high end one. And the
Was there
price
a down payment?
3,000.
Okay.
So like a normal car lease.
Yeah,
but
that's really good.
And it's $250 to reserve it. And then, yeah, so this, from what I'm gathering, your lease payments, not including tax, title, insurance, will be at like $375 a month, which is cheaper than what you're paying for a combustion engine car. And you're going to have it indefinitely. So you keep it for as long as you want this lease. I think eventually you have to turn it back in, probably in like 10 or 12 years, you can keep it. And then you can get it. Then you can just keep going with another one. But I haven't read the full terms of it. But I've been staring at this car for a long time because I think it's absolutely spectacular.
Bravo!
I'm excited. And the range is going to be crazy good, especially at that price point.
That is awesome.
See, but people, and people would like to go electric. They don't know how to do it. People want to go green. They don't know how to do it. But things right now are just in such a way that people are just feeling out of control. And I think once people start feeling control of their own personal lives, then climate will matter again. Mm-hmm. Then people, just interaction with other people and loving people will just be. It will come back, hopefully. Just right now, everything is in such disrepair. People's personal lives are in disrepair.
Well, it's funny. There was actually an article about people, you mentioned wanting to go green, and the same issues that people had when electric cars started are still prevalent today. People are very anxious about the range, and the infrastructure is not there. So we're going to segue into electric for a really quick talk. Sorry, because we all know my issues with the power grid, whatever. But I think LA is starting to do a new program, which I saw maybe coming, where gas appliances will be phased out for all new construction. So it's going to go electric. How is this going to work?
Right.
I'm not in support of that personally, just because we can't support the current grid. And now, I had a friend who got an electric car and she got a letter from SoCal Edison saying, do not charge your car. The grid cannot support it. Because she sent it to me saying, what the hell? I'm like, I don't control this. But yeah, I mean, if we get rid of, I get it. Natural gas, not good. I get that. But there are coming out, you can cook with hydrogen. It's another gas. You can use, completely removing the ability to pump anything in may not be the best answer for the long term.
It's going to depend on also what the building codes are. If buildings have to become more solar operating, they have to kind of find more resources to get the energy naturally back to the people who are living in the properties. I think there's more variables, which I don't know any of. But that was one thing which I saw, was that electric appliances are now going to pretty much becoming the norm for LA, which is interesting.
And people adapt. Like if you're renting a property or you're going to go with whatever's in that property, right? People don't have extras, obviously, right now to be paying to put their own electric in or a 220 volt in or whatever it requires to be more greener. And that's really not what's on people's minds right now.
Really not. Like we said, I think people are concerned about, how do I pay my bills?
How do you survive? It's survival right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay,
Food and shelter.
Wednesday morning.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we're the gloom and doom team.
But with a positive spin, we always try to focus on the good as well.
Exactly. So we should leave it with something really positive or something encouraging that we do see going on right now. And what I will say, we're looking for different infrastructure projects where we can get water so we can be more sustainable. At the water replenishment district, we are doing so much in the form of cleaning up brackish water, making sure that we have 98% of the water that we actually need here in LA County, that we are self-sustained, and that we have a reserve. So look, that's a positive thing. I don't know what you do in your county down in Palm Springs, but let me tell you, we're on the move at WRD.
So here's a question for you. So how does this work? This is just like normal person. So you're telling me that we're building the reserve, but yet my usage has to go down.
Well, it's expectation of what the future water levels are going to need to be in order to just have a sustainable amount of water.
And you know what? And I get that. I think the messaging, the second that somebody hears, oh, we're building a reservoir or we're trying to increase our reserves, but so we need you to, people automatically shut down like, oh, wait, there's already a reserve here. Why do I have to stop? Did Joy freeze?
I think she froze. It's future use though. I mean, we are building the reservoirs. We are building, the storage capabilities. That takes time. And we're talking like 7-10 years to complete those. So in the meantime, we have to, it's so funny seeing Joy frozen. Sorry. I'm going to get a out of this. There, you're back. I tried to cover for you.
I appreciate it.
Storage capacities and reduction. I was just saying, building new reservoirs takes time. So even though we're increasing our storage, that's not in the immediate future, it's long term. So we need to start conserving now. And my happy note is I'm seeing so many more people ripping out just regular lawns and putting in drought tolerant, which is just as pretty and much less maintenance. You don't even have to mow it. It only grows to
the area. It fits the area.
Yeah, we are a desert. It's shocking.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that, should we let you guys go? Because we've gone, I really, hopefully we'll be able to reschedule with Gil. I believe there were some technical issues we ran into. So hopefully we can redo that. But I will end. Wellspring Hope is a wonderful organization. Please look into it. They take donations. They take volunteers. They are doing a good, fantastic job of equity, helping women, helping girls, and bringing water to communities so these women and girls can go to school and have quality of life improved. And I will leave it at that.
Absolutely. Well, bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.